Hey everyone, welcome to the It's My Time Sports Show. I'm your host, David Angeron, and the national recruiter for My Time Sports. I'm here with co-host James Gamble and the owner of the Global Scouting Bureau. Hey, glad to have you, James. Welcome aboard.
Glad to be on, David. Nice to be here.
James, can you tell us a little bit about your background? I know you're the owner of the Global Scouting Bureau, and you have a couple other businesses. You help players move on at every level. So tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, it might take a little while, but I'll try to make it brief. Let's see, I was an overachiever as an athlete, played collegiately in 3 years of minor league ball, then started working in scouting with the Red Sox, went into the front office with Oakland, and then started the Global Scouting Bureau. The goal there was trying to not just work for one team, but being able to find players and assist them in advancement. First year, 1998, we advanced 89 players, predominantly to independent ball, but by 99, it expanded into international. In 2000, it started going all over. And since then, we've worked with all 30 major league teams as a contract scout company. It spread down into the colleges on helping college players advance into pro ball, independent ball, international ball. And then for the last 10 years, we've been helping the high school players advance into the collegiate or professional ranks as well. So that's about as brief as I can give you.
Well, I know I'm grateful for the Global Scouting Bureau. I mean, you guys were the ones that got me started with my career in professional baseball in 2002 with the Pensacola Pelicans as the general manager there. And then I went on to, coach a little bit of minor league ball from there. And then later on, you also got me my first scouting job with the Milwaukee Brewers. So, I'm really appreciative and grateful for the Global Scouting Bureau and all the work that you do.
Well, I mean, thank you, but I would say that we didn't get you. You possess the skill set and the ability to go and do it. We just kind of guided you in the right direction and let people know of you. And that's kind of what we do as a company. We try to put people in the right place at the right time. And ultimately, they're responsible for their success or failure. We're putting them in the right position. And so that's an attribute to all the things you had done because you had been in baseball already. You were already successful. You had a great knowledge of the game. And it was a matter of just putting you in the right place.
I appreciate it. Well, reason we started this show is to give the listeners and the viewers the facts about recruiting. We have a lot of our customers that call all the time, with questions, and there's a lot of misleading information out there. And, a lot of companies are feeding off of this partial information. They're getting bits and pieces of the facts. We want to be able to give them the entire facts about the recruiting system, help our customers, make good decisions based off of, what's real and what's, half and what's, totally fake. So, if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about some of the factual information about the recruiting process for these listeners to hear.
Sure. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. One of the things that we notice, I call it the cliff notes of baseball, because if you look at social media, you're going to see a tweet, which is going to give you so many characters and you're expected to know what that is. Even a little bit of a video that's great, or an Instagram or a Facebook post. And all these are good tools, but those are cliff notes. And the way I look at it as the last time you got an airplane, did you want your pilot to have read the cliff notes or the whole book?
Right.
Your doctor, your lawyer, anybody that's going to be skilled at doing something, they've got to be able to take it from the cliff notes down into the real steak and potatoes. And we don't find a lot of people that can do that. I see them out there talking. They sound the same. They look the same. But you ask a detailed question, they simply can't give you a detailed answer.
Correct.
So I think you're spot on. I think we had talked earlier about maybe going through some of the periods and letting people understand. I mean, especially in today's world with COVID, I'm sure they pushed the Division I. They pushed the recruiting back. It's a dead period all the way to June. Well, a lot of people don't even know what that really means.
Right.
So if you're a high school player out there today and you're wondering why no coach from a 4-year school that's considered a Division I is coming out, is they simply cannot. So. Right. Parents, you may see a guy with a polo shirt and it may look like a logo to a college that you feel is a Division I school. Do your homework. It's not. They can't. It's not a rule they can work around. And so really what a dead period is the coaches cannot go out. They can also not bring in the student athlete on campus. It doesn't mean they can't call them if they're age appropriate, grade appropriate, but they're not able to go and see them. They can't work them out. None of that is available to them. And that's across the board. It's not like a South Louisiana rule or a Southeast Conference rule. It's an NCAA rule.
Right. And, I got a few phone calls back in the fall, some parents asking about a showcase that, they received email about saying there's going to be all these college coaches there. It's going to be at a Division I facility. Some of the coaches listed were supposedly from a Division I school. And I had to explain to them that, it's impossible because they were in the middle of a dead period, just because they're on a Division I campus and that they got an email saying Division I schools are committed to be there. They need to understand, when the dead periods are, to know who can actually be there. Save some money. I mean, these camps cost a lot of money, and when they show up and then the coaches that they were told were going to be there in the email don't show up, they get upset and frustrated, and it makes the whole organization and the recruiting process, gives it a bad name. So that's again why we're trying to give them the factual information, and we give them the tools to understand everything about the recruiting process, and the dead period, the quiet period. There's all kind of different periods they need to go and learn about.
Well, you didn't mention early on that you and I co-authored a book together. It's called It's My Time. And that was intentional. In that book, it tells you what is a contact period, what is a quiet period. It gives you calendars. You can go to the ncaa.org. But when you're talking baseball, there's more than just Division I. There's Division I, II, III, NAI. There's different divisions there. Junior college, different divisions there. Division II. I mean, there's so much that, parents, when your kid is an aspiring athlete, guess what? There's no shortcut. You know how you tell the athletes, you got to work hard, you got to dive in. Well, guess what, parents? Get on the diving board. You got to dive in too. You got to take that 30 to 45 minutes a day to start researching and getting the meat and potatoes of what's out there. How do I get there? What are the qualifications? What's the academic requirements? There's so much, and it's just not it's not an easy solution. You have to do the work. That's why we put it in the book, to help the parents really learn the facts. Right. And the one thing they do is they have to keep up. There can be, in a world that's changing day by day, they have to know where to go. For me and our company, our goal was never to be some social media bombing people. We want to be a network. We're only as good as the people we're associated with. And we're within 2 degrees of everybody in the world of sports, period. That's the way it is. Right. It doesn't make any one of us greater than someone else. But when you see the right thing, you know who to call. And it's up to the kid, the same way I was saying about whenever I was talking to you, 19 years ago, you had the tools and the skill set to advance. Had you not, it would have been a short conversation. Right. I have those conversations daily because lots of parents will look through a lens and they see the game in a different light. We want to give them the tools. That's why in the book, we're telling you, here are the tools you need to have. Not only the tools, here's how to be self-aware of who you really are, not being the best kid in, New Iberia, Louisiana, or Mandeville, Louisiana. We're talking about now comparing yourself to the country, the game itself. Right. So, I wanted people to know that we've done this a little while, 20 plus years now. And the things that have never changed have been the tools that are needed to play this game. Correct. So.
Yeah, we're going to touch a little bit on the tools in the next episode. We could talk about that a little bit more. As the game changer, that's what makes the players advance to the next level. So many players and parents are worried about their kid being the best player on their team in high school, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they have the tools to advance to the college and professional level. So again, that's a topic in the book we discussed, but we're going to put it on the next episode and talk more in details about the tools that are required to play at the next level.
Great.
One thing I want to talk about is, the experience that you and I have, and, some other organizations have some real experienced scouts. You have some companies that are out there selling all this, half information or, fake information that don't really have the experience and the knowledge, so they can't answer the questions. So, they're trying to get these kids to go to these camps and clinics, but you can't pick up the phone and call them. And if you do, you ask them questions and they can't answer the questions. I know my son's a college player right now, but when he was in high school, he had one of the companies call him and, they said, "Oh, I'm a scout for this company." And, he started asking all these type of questions. Well, obviously my son grew up around baseball, so he kind of knew what questions to ask, and they couldn't answer the questions for him. So, the experience is huge. So you parents that are listening, make sure no matter what company you use as a recruiting tool, just make sure you have the factual information, that you can pick up the phone and call them and send an email, and that you're going to get some factual information back from them.
I would totally agree. I think that the majority of companies out there, and you see that in summer ball as well, people are taking advantage of the hope and the dreams of the kids rather than being honest. Uh, Anybody that's met me, yes, I know I can speak a little bit. I have more of a face for radio, but they know I can talk. And I've hurt feelings numerous times. I mean, maybe we'll get one of them to be a guest on the show that I flat out told that he was fat, which probably isn't politically correct. But the kid went on to drop 30 pounds, jump up 5 miles of velocity. I was at the game. At that point, we had the velocity, we had everything. He signed and moved on to college. None of it would have happened if I would have just continued to say, oh, he's really good. Johnny's going to be just fine. I think you have to be honest, and you have to have people that know you and can advocate for you. And that's what I like about my time. There's people behind it. It's no longer just a static video or put your profile and hope some coach at 2 a.m. logged in and said, that's my guy. Well, that's going to be tough.
Right.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah, that's the one thing we take a lot of pride in is, when I was scouting with the Brewers, I built a network of college coaches that would call and, ask for help getting their players to move on if they didn't get drafted. So, again, I would turn them over to Global Scouting Bureau and we would get them signed with, independent teams as well. And then when I got out and started helping the high school kids, those college coaches, they had that trust in us and they want to find the best quality players. And, it's over 2,000 college coaches from coast to coast that we actively promote our players to. And again, we don't sugarcoat anything. We're not going to tell every player that, comes through my time that, hey, you can be a Division I player. Sometimes we ruffle some feathers and upset parents when we tell them the truth that if there's a kid's a junior college player, they're going to be recommended to junior colleges. If they're an NAI type player, they're going to be recommended to NAI type. So that's the big thing. It's just giving the facts and, let them understand what levels they can perform at. Self-evaluation is huge. And, you and I talked a little bit about that earlier. And, I think that's something that is lacking in high school and college baseball is, the players can't look at themselves and give them an honest self-evaluation.
Sure. Well, I think you hit the nail on the head as well, but not only the self-evaluation, but the kids really, getting exposed to more, seeing more, understanding and being held accountable for their ability. We just threw out Division I. Let's be realistic. Division I is such a broad category. There's a huge difference between the SEC, right. In other conferences. I don't want to make a conference look bad, but there's a huge difference between that. So players, and we'll see it in the years to come, players are going to stop just getting that sugar rush, that cotton candy sugar high where I committed to somebody. And they're going to start looking at where can I get my education? Where can I play? Because without opportunity, you got nothing. And what I'm seeing day in and day out is a lot of mistakes in the recruiting process. Not just by the players, sometimes by the coaches, but it's based on not being honest. It's okay to tell a kid you're not what I'm looking for, rather than saying, yes, we like you, we like you. Well, if you like them, then go ahead and bring them in. And a lot of the camps that I see people going to, they'll get these great reports. And I'm going, well, that guy right there is a college coach. If he liked you, he would bring you in. What he's telling you is you don't have the ability that he's looking for. It might be that, what he already has there. You have to dig way deep. It's not on the surface level. And that's why recruiting is a, school by school. It's totally different. It's not one size fits all. And divisions are totally different. I mean, there's some Division II teams that are fantastic. I mean, UWF down the road there, they've won championship after championship. I mean, Jeff Coates a great coach. They've had a historically great program. I'm not just trying to pick them out, but if kids from the South would go over there and see their campus, they would think it's Division I. Right. They wouldn't know. So I hope the industry does a better job of educating the kids on make the right choice for you. Right. Make sure you go where you can play.
Right. So. One last thing I want to talk about in this segment, I get a lot of phone calls with players and parents that are in panic mode right now, especially 2021 grads, they're worried about the COVID situation and players returning for an extra year of eligibility, and I tell all of them, relax. There's going to be a lot of player moves. There's going to be a lot of opportunities out there available. We had one player sign Division I last year as late as August, and you and I talked about that. I mean, there's going to be opportunities. I just wanted to open that up and let you talk a little bit about that as well to kind of let these listeners know they don't have to panic, just do the right things as far as the recruiting process goes.
Well, I would think here's the questions I look at, and you can help me answer them. If we call any college coach, can any of them tell us who's going to get injured in the future? The answer is no.
Right.
Can they tell you who's not going to perform up to par in the future? The answer is no. Who's going to fail out in the classroom? The answer is no. Who's just going to get homesick and quit? There's so many things that are not known that even the programs that are telling people they don't currently have money for the 2021 class, that's not entirely true. They don't at the moment, but by tomorrow that may change. Right. Let a guy go 0 for 20 and see if they don't have a need. That's why they have a portal. And that's one of the things people aren't used to is now there is a process to be able to move players out and let them go elsewhere. There's also players that find themselves not playing and going, wait a minute, I don't like this. And that's why it goes back to what we just talked about is make sure you pick the right spot. But even today, I can guarantee you that there are going to be scholarships offered in the future for the 21 class. Okay, every single year, just because players are going to get hurt. Hey, who knows who's going to get drafted and if they're going to sign? Okay, the coaches don't know. So all of this is, they're giving you the best information at the moment, but the game of baseball changes every single day.
Right. All right. Well, I appreciate that, James. And we're going to take a short break and we'll be back with segment 2 and talk about some other recruiting needs that you may want to follow up on. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the It's My Time show. I'm the host, David Andron, along with co-host James Gamble. One thing we do a lot of is we get out to the baseball fields and look for talent constantly. James and I are constantly pounding the pavements, getting the high school games and junior college games and college games nationwide. We have some other scouts that work with us for My Time as well as for the Global Scouting Bureau to get out to see some, top performers in the area. We look for the best players that we can find to help as many college coaches find quality players. James, you want to talk a little bit about some of the performers you saw this past week?
Yeah, well, over the past 2 weeks, let's say now that the high school and the college seasons are kind of underway, as our guys get out there and just so everybody knows, we've got guys throughout the state of Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, really heavy in the South. And then we have nationally, but in this segment, we're all staying in the Southeast about some of the players. And, Maddox Bruns out of Alabama, we had one of our scouts, Nick Singleton, go out and see him. Everybody in Major League Baseball knows who he is. He's a very high potential draft choice going to Mississippi State. Cold weather, he was already 95. He can spin it. Really positive things to see this early in the year. Then I happened to catch a game and I saw a local kid, 2 of them. I'm from Morgan City. I know you're from the area. Now you live in New Orleans, but both Trent Hillen and Caleb Menina both stand out for Central Catholic. Hillen was up to 90, looked really good on the mound. He's improved so much his physique over the past couple of years. He's got a good chance to do well at Nichols. Menina, he's solid. He's strong. He can really, really spin it. I think he's going to do really well, and he's going to be liked at UNO.
Yeah, that left-handed curveball from Menina is unbelievable.
He throws it hard, high spin. He has a lot of command of it. He's going to do really well.
Yeah, great kid too. Great work ethic.
Sure. Those are both 21 grads, so we're going to be able to see them in college next year. And then I was out at a couple of college games. I got to see Nichols in their season opener and the Trevor Gilcrease, which was their Friday night guy. They threw him on Saturday because they moved games to Saturday, but he was the same guy. He's still 87 and 90. I've seen him a little bit higher than that in the past, but it's still chilly. They're warming up. He can spin it. I think Nichols is going to be a little bit better than they were in the past. They looked like they're putting things together. So I think Seth over there is doing a really good job. And then I jumped over and I saw the UNO Southern. It was really good to watch those teams go at it. The guy that I want to say stood out to me was Hayden Erb's got a torn meniscus and he was 93 grunting and just, when you know a guy's injured and he's still going out there and you're seeing the 93s, and I've seen him up to 97 back in junior college. Now you know that inside there's something there and physically there's something there. I saw Tremaine Spears have a day. I'm glad to get to see him play day in, day out. He's over at Southern. He basically owned UNO the first day, and then they kind of pitched around him the next couple of games, had a home run and a double. And then UNO's got a player that people should know of, a lot of the scouts do, and that's Luther Willard. I mean, he was a single away from the cycle, but he hit 2 home runs, so he could have just stopped and it hit for the cycle. And he's really showing up this year, and I think he's going to make a lot of noise. So we're going to be getting out to more and more. I know that our scouts have been out there, and we're taking all the notes in. Into the future episodes, we're going to, spend a little more time just dropping the names of the guys that are performing high, that we think everybody should know of. Give them a little credit.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's some great names. I've seen several of those guys you talked about. I know Trent and Kayla personally. I think they're going to do very well. A couple of guys I want to talk about are some of our My Time members that I've watched over the last couple of weeks. And I want to start off with Cade Lynn out of New Iberia Senior High. He's a guy that we've been watching get better and better every year. I mean, when I watched him as a freshman, and he came out probably 78 to 80, and now he's upper 80s, touching 90. Throws from different arm slots. He opened the season with a no-hitter and 9 Ks and only 63 pitches. He just recently signed with Mississippi College. And he's going to be an exciting player to watch. And, his work ethic is just phenomenal. Watching him get better and better every time I see him, it's been pretty impressive.
No doubt. I'll even add to him. Yeah, I'll add, yes, we know his dad, but I've seen Cade just continue to blossom. And I spoke to him, and not only just saying things about him, but what he's done for other people to watch. He's been a solid kid in the classroom. He's never once worried about the name of the jersey during a summer, what he was playing for. He just kept going to work. He overcame injuries, just kept getting better. Not a lot of people believed in him, but he did. Nobody can take credit except Cade Lynn for going to the weight room, eating right, making the grades, and continuing to improve. So he deserves all the credit. And, just a really good kid, good family, and I expect to see good things in the future.
Absolutely. Another pitcher is Alex Rowe from Archbishop Hannon. He threw 6 in the 3rd innings this week in their opener, and striking out 12. He's a player I like to watch. I mean, he's just a scrappy player, about 5'9", so a little undersized, but he can be a two-way guy at a small, JUCO or smaller school. He's just competitive. He throws mid-80s, has a big league breaking ball. I just like his mentality. I love the way he gets on the mound. Like I said, he's 5'9", but he believes he's 6'5" when he's out there. So
sure.
He's going to be fun to watch, and I think he's going to do some good things at the college level as well. He's currently unsigned, but he'll have some opportunities. He's been on some visits recently, so hopefully he'll have some good luck with his decision making here soon. Another guy I like to talk about is Dominique Latarque. He is from Lakeshore High School. I went out and watched him yesterday. He's a 2023 grad, left-handed hitter and outfielder, and he can flat out swing it. He's 5'11", just has that good looking frame. And how the left-handed swings are, they're fun to watch. And he opened up their season with a grand slam. And, I expect some really good things. He's got a D1 build and D1 tools. I expect to see some pretty good offers for him in the next short period as well. You and I also talked about Alex Dupree from Natchitoches Central High School. I mean, he's a 2023, and he's a phenomenal player. He was discovered by one of our other scouts with the Global Scouting Bureau, Austin Wilson. He put me in touch with Alex last year, and he's been just a great player to watch. He's already hit a home run this year. Defensively, he is as good as they get.
No doubt. He's a guy that people need to know, and, they're going to follow him. And like you said with Alex, let's take it easy on those little guys because, I wasn't an extremely big guy, and I got to play the game for a little while. And just a point that I want to make so that everybody's aware of it, because when we're talking to parents, and I'm sure you get it, and you talked about it earlier, this anxiety about certain arbitrary dates of when a kid signs and doesn't sign. The rule of thumb is that tools sign early and players sign late. And what I mean by that is everybody takes chances on the kids that have all of the potential. Okay. The 6'5" left-hander that throws hard. It doesn't mean in the long run that the other players who may be better players are going to get opportunities, but coaches are always going to go with what tools they see. So it's very frustrating. A lot of your really grinder type players that end up being a college coach's favorite guy is not an early commit. He's a guy that, sometimes after their senior years, they give them the opportunity, but they have learned how to work. They've learned how to grind. They understand they're never going to give up. They're going to get up every day and work hard. Dave, you might want to talk about that a little bit. I know you haven't mentioned it, but you're more than just a baseball guy. You continued in education to get the ability to be a mental psychology coach to not just athletes, but people in general, but in sports. Are you kind of seeing that with some of not only the players, but their parents, the anxiety that, today's February 24th, oh my gosh, my son hasn't signed. That means he's not good, which is false.
Right. Yeah, we see a lot of that. And like you said, there's a high percentage of those early signed players that never step foot on the field to the school they commit early to. They end up decommitting, or, they don't perform as well as the schools project them to perform, and they never make it. And, the anxiety of these parents, it's unbelievable. And I do a lot of sports psychology coaching as a certified sports psychology coach for athletes and parents. I try to talk them through it as well. The one thing I do know is, a lot of these players, they go out and they train their tools because they think that's what they got to do. They think they have to get bigger, faster, stronger, but they don't train the mental side of it. And, we go out and watch them and they don't know where to go. They don't have a good baseball IQ. They don't understand the game, or one bad thing happens and they can't overcome the adversity. That's a huge part of advancing to the next level is, between the ears. And, a lot of players don't train it enough. We like to get more information out to them about that as well. And we'll talk further about that in our next segment, and our next episodes as well too. So,
well, I cut you off, but I just wanted to ask because it was things that were going on even today with the high school players. We were just talking about top performers, but it's early in the year, and both at the college level and the high school level, early in the year, college coaches like to see what they have. High school coaches want to see what they have, so they're making decisions. And what I noticed, and you can correct me here and give some advice to everybody, is that sometimes when a player is not in the starting lineup, boy, his attitude just turns, and then it's woe me. And the parents are in the stands and they're looking for a coach's head right now. They don't understand that they have the opportunity. Okay. They can choose to say, okay, he didn't start me. Wait till he puts me in, and then mentally prepare themselves when you get that opportunity to take advantage of it. And for the parents to, they're not at every practice. They don't understand the entire thing going on. Sometimes they're right, but a lot of times coaches want to see lots of guys. They may sit the guy to see if it puts a little fuel to his fire. So rather than jump into those conclusions early, and I don't just see it in high school, I see it at college. A kid's not on the starting roster for that day. He's not in the starting lineup. And man, he's pouting. Meanwhile, they bring him in the seventh and he doesn't perform well. Well, why do you think that is? Maybe he's not mentally prepared. Or what can a player do when they're not in the lineup? What can a parent do? Not meaning taking action against someone else, but what can they do inside of themselves to learn how to, kind of slow things down? It's going to be okay. Okay. Not today, but later on, it's going to be okay. And this is a part of a much bigger process. Do you have any advice you could maybe,
Absolutely. I mean, the first part is they need to eliminate the expectations. They go into the season expecting, okay, I'm going to be playing this position. I'm going to be hitting this, their parents talk to them about you're the best player on the team. You should be doing this and that. Every coach gets paid to win. They're going to do what? They're going to put the best players that they feel in the lineup. If you want to be in the lineup, you perform when you have the opportunities, but you have to stay focused on, the drive. You got to stay focused on the mission. You can't worry about the results, because what happens is if you sit in the bench and then you do get an opportunity, you're so stressed out about it. Like you and I talked about, you get up there, you're trying to go 5 for 3. And when you're worrying about the results, saying, okay, well, I got to get a hit, it's not going to happen. You just need to worry about the process and go up there, try to square it up, hustle, play your best, when the coaches get to see you. And then you have to recognize, we talk about the lights, the emotional lights, green light, you're in control, you focus, you understand. Well, when you start to feel that little bit of panic and you start to feel out of control, a little bit, you're not fully in control, it turns to a yellow light. And then when you're completely out of control and, flustered, throwing your stuff and not focused, then it's a red light. And if you don't recognize those three emotional warning signals, then you're going to mess up and get to that red light quick and not ever be able to get out of it. And we can go over some techniques and, breathing techniques and, how to refocus and reset. But, that's a whole episode in itself. So, that's just a little bit of idea and a few tips about, taking the right approach.
Well, I'll tell you from a player standpoint, being an ex-player, but also being around some of the players, and you're going to get a laugh at the analogy I use, is that, have you ever been driving in the rain with the music real loud in a city you don't know, you've got GPS on, and all of a sudden the phone rings, you're panicked. There's just too much noise, too much environment for you. You got kids in the back seat and they're screaming. Sometimes I'm watching a game, and as I see things happening, I start saying, look, he's in traffic, man. I can see he's in traffic, because the players don't know how to slow it down. Okay, but above and beyond just the player, I look and then I see Dad, and he's wearing the soles out on his shoes. He's walking back and forth, so he feels the traffic. So some of the stuff you're trying to do is trying to eliminate it, show them how to, let's turn down the radio just a little bit. Okay, right. Let's ask the kids to calm it down. Let's slow the vehicle down, maybe not take that phone call. And we're still just driving. It's the same as being on a road in the middle of nowhere. Just, stay in control of what you can. And I think that's a great point with the green, yellow, and red, because everybody can kind of understand that.
Right. And like I said, I'm a dad too. I have a son that plays college baseball, and I feel it. I feel the anxiety sometimes, overtaking my body, and I got to step back and take a deep breath and, relax and just enjoy watching them play. And sometimes it's hard. I mean, you want your kids to succeed, and everybody wants their child to be successful. But, just know they're playing a game. That's what I tell my son all the time, is just go out there and have fun. It's about enjoying the process. Don't worry about the results. The results are going to come. If you focus on the results, then bad things happen. But if you focus on the process and getting better every day, that's when good things happen. Stay positive. Positive things happen to positive people.
Totally agree. Great advice.
All right. And next episode, we're going to get more into the tools of playing at that next level. And, we talked a little bit about it. We'll let you introduce the 5 tools real quick that we talk about in the book. And, we actually mentioned a 6th tool in the book. So I'll let you go ahead and talk a little bit about that to give them a little taste of what we got coming up for the next episode.
Yeah, I think for the next episode, we'll go through the 5 tools that all of baseball, regardless of level, kind of evaluate, which is the foot speed, the arm strength, the ability to hit, the fielding ability, and the raw power, which now is starting to go into power production. I think David's going to mention the 6th tool, which we think is probably the most important. Dave, if you want to add that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the work ethic. I mean, the it tool. Do you have it? Do you have what it takes to get to the next level?
Compete, yes, right. That compete, that you're going to get up no matter what. You won't be denied, and I think which is most essential. But I look forward to going through that in more detail next episode.
Right. Yeah, I think it's important. Like I said, we have a lot of players that come up to us and, or their parents that say, hey, my kid's all state, he's all district. But then when we go out to scout them, they run a 7.4 60. So, I think they need to understand what it takes to play at that level. And the next episode will be very important to them.
Well, for me to end and circle back, I say, number 1, parents and kids, get out of the cliff notes and get the book. Not only, hey, buy our book, we have a lot of information, dive in, but look for more than just the snippets or the tweets, and the game's much deeper than that. And if you really want to do this, you're going to have to dive in. You're going to have to spend some time. The other thing is the mental side that you talked about, Dave, is so essential, because you can train all day, every day, but if you're not mentally prepared when you get the opportunity, you're going to fail, and failing is okay. Okay, that's your first attempt at learning. And to get to success, you've got to go through failure. But to speed things up, if you'll dive into the mental side, I think there's huge advantages for those players that can already understand how to slow down the game and understand the situation and make good decisions. Those are things that I think that parents and the players should really dive into and take advantage of, things that we're putting out there for them.
Right. Now, we have some valuable tools that can help, players and parents. We have an app that, these episodes will be on. Plus, we have some drills and a lot of valuable tools that will be available to them through the app that they can get on the App Store. We also have, several books. We have our book, It's My Time,
Sure.
which is all about college recruiting and college placement, everything you could possibly need is in that book. Of course, you know, things change with the COVID situation and all, but, you know, all of the basic information that they need, they can find in that book. You can see some other books behind me. The Mental Training Guide for Elite Athletes is one that I have out right now, and it was a bestseller on Amazon. You know, a lot of college and pro athletes are reading that book and, you know, coming back and telling me how valuable it's been to them to get ready for this season, you know, after a long layoff. And the other book is The Challenging Road to Success, which is a book, you know, about what it takes to become successful, and not just in sports, but, you know, personal success, physical success, mental success, and spiritual success. You know, it's what your definition of success is might be different from everybody else's definition of success. And if you're sitting there focused on, you know, making it to the big leagues and, you know, making a bunch of money, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be successful and happy. I know a lot of people that, you know, have made it a long way that, you know, are miserable in their life. So, you know, it's a good book to pick up if you really want to understand what success is all about.
Well, I think all your books are great. I know that, you know, we're starting to work on another one. I'm really excited about that. Well, Dave, for me to wrap things up again, I know I'm a good talker here and I keep going, but not only in your book do you say it, but we're circling back to one of the first things we talked about today. An example would be a cliff note is when a coach tells you to focus. That's great. How do you focus? Or when you hear you got to flush it. Okay, that's great. Now, how do you flush it? You know, being around the players and seeing what they're going through. There's a lot of valuable stuff, parents, that you throw out there to them, all these little snippets of information. But if you don't get involved in understanding the entire process, you know, when you holler at a pitcher, throw strikes, did you think he was not trying to?
Right.
I mean, those are the things for me that I'm not a good fan. That's why I've been in scouting. I try to stay by myself because so many people are hearing these snippets of information. They hear it, and then they repeat it. Focus, flush it. Okay, that's great. The individual that started saying that comment was teaching his players how to do it.
Right.
Okay, that's what your book is doing. That's what you do is you mentally try to coach people on how to flush it. When you make that error, okay, yeah, flush it. Get ready for the next one. How?
Right.
How do you do it? And that's why I think diving in means I'm going to invest my time and my energy on learning and being self-aware on how do I flush it? How do I perform higher? How do I cope with adversity? These are all things that every, not just elite athlete, but successful person has had to do is they have to overcome failure. They have to go through it. They don't quit. It's not fun to fail, but they know how to deal with it. And I think you address it a lot in your mental master training. So right. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a lot of fun to watch when I see an athlete that actually understands how to reset their mind, to slow things down. You know, I've had a player that was 0 for 3 with a strikeout, and they intentionally walked the leadoff guy to get to him. And, you know, he ends up flying out, you know, so he's 0 for 4 going into the last inning. Pitcher's just dominating him. And, you know, a lot of players would sit there and panic and be worried about the 3 previous at-bats. And you can see the kid step out, adjust his batting gloves, look down at the foul pole, has his reset word written on his forearm, resets, takes a deep breath, steps back in the box. And you can just see the confidence that he completely, you know, like I said, flushed the previous 3 at-bats. But in order to do that, he had to have the reset word. He had to refocus. He had to step back and, you know, readjust his gloves. It's like turning the light switch off and on. And, you know, then he steps in and becomes a hero and wins the game. And it's a lot of fun to watch these young athletes, you know, and professional athletes that actually go through the process, you know, and understand what it takes mentally to get to that level.
Sure. I totally agree. Well, thanks, Dave. I enjoyed the episode and look forward to doing more in the future.
Absolutely. We'll have episodes twice a month, the 1st and 15th of every month. You know, keep up with us on mytimesports.com. We'll also have mytimesports.tv, and check out our YouTube channel. And don't forget to download the app on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. We'll be back next week with additional episodes, and, you know, look for us at the games. We're going to be at all the games, you know, getting out, watching players play, and we're going to try to get you on that Who Is That section. See you next time.